Hi everybody, and welcome to Josiah is Right. So I am here at the Paramount Lot for the Produced by 2018 conference. So I'm just going to show you a bit of the highlights and what it's like to be here at Produced by, so check it out. A truck just started right there. Of course, I tried to find a quiet space to do this, but oh well. So you'll see here the Paramount map. That's a cool feature because it shows you what shoots there. Basically all the TV shows. I'm sure there's movies and things that are shooting there as well that aren't listed here, but you see all the TV shows, of course the Dr. Phil's of the world, and then the NCIS's, whatever is there. So here we are actually heading to the conference proper. So you're basically parked on the far side of the lot. It's there a lot, but you're technically outside the lot, so you go through the pedestrian gate, they have you check in with the security table, and then you make your way through the lot, and you kind of come through the opposite way, that archway you can just see there in the back. And this is the hub of the conference, and this is the hub of the lot itself. Here was where it was set up for everyone for lunch. There was mentoring round tables, which you actually had to pay a little bit extra to do that. There was mixers, things like that. You'll see here, this is sort of the trade show type stuff, so there's camera carts, whatever that was, different film stuff, the final draft there, I talked to those guys. As a writer, I was more interested in that, so things like that. You get some freebies. I got a bunch of free magazines, and of course the fountain at the center, just beautiful, right in front of that Paramount archway. So here's the fancy Produced by get your picture taken thing. There was a lot of people earlier in front of that. Here's the Paramount Theater. That is actually where Kevin Feige spoke, and I've actually seen a few screenings there. It's an awesome theater, just really, it's a great place to sit and watch a movie, I'll say that. So here we are going into the Paramount Archway. This is my most favorite part of any lot that I've been on. I've been on a handful, never to shoot, unfortunately. Well, with one exception. I did shoot over at Sony years ago on a friend's sort of student film, but that was a long time ago. But this one, it's just magical. When you walk through that archway, the lot itself, once you're through it, it's just like a lot of these other ones. And you'll see here just some different things. There's some more up to the right. There was more Produced by stuff, and it was mentorship or producer mashup. That was what was going on over there. But anyway, what is the Produced by conference? So it's basically just a trade show for producers. So producers, industry people. I'm a producer, but I went as a writer. I'm a part of the Producers Guild. So basically you can go and just meet with other people. It's a networking opportunity, even though I'm terrible at that and spoke to barely anyone. But it's also a chance to go to seminars and talks like Kevin Feige, which you'll see some highlights from. There's some other things that I didn't go to this year. One was finding the right financing partners for your independent feature, which I didn't go to because I wanted to head home and get some food with Penny and Judy. But other things were finance your toolkit, an indie film toolkit, things like that. So a lot of stuff like that. Video games and cinema, things like that. So here you see the water pit, which is awesome because you can fill it up to film. But the real cool thing is that it's also a parking lot. And here's one of the highlights. I just came across this randomly. It's a plaque dedicated to those who served during World War II that worked at Paramount, but also those specifically at the bottom here, you'll see a list of names, those that lost their lives. As a history buff, I appreciate that. That's why I like these studios more than anything else, is just the history there. That's really what stands out for me. Here you see some of the Star Wagons. There was nothing shooting, at least as far as I saw when I was there. It was a Saturday. It was dead. They knew the conference was coming, so I'm sure nothing is priority. It's June, so it's not the busiest time. And here is my favorite thing that I saw, the film vaults. So a few years ago, Universal had a big fire and lost a lot of theirs, and they rebuilt. So Paramount, here is the Paramount Film Vault, or at least part of it. I was excited to just walk by that and see it. I kind of wandered around the studio quite a bit. I skipped lunch, so I just kind of walked around, and that's sort of the networking time for most people. But for me, it was just a chance to go around, take pictures, take video. There was still action on this lot. There was people doing work, setting up stuff, hauling things around, just trucks moving, things like that, as there was a truck that started when I tried to get my first shot in. So there was still activity, but nothing was shooting, like I said. So in a bit here, you'll see what is known as the Forrest Gump bench, because it was a bench from the film Forrest Gump. Now, the cool thing was, I just randomly sat on this bench because I wanted to sit down, and I saw the plaque. I didn't really register it was Forrest Gump, but these are tourists here checking it out. Now, it actually was used in the film, and I wasn't aware of that when I sat down. He's telling a story about how Tom Hanks came and sat down. I joked with the group that you don't get Tom Hanks, but you get me, which is the next best thing. The guy said, well, that is Tom Hanks. And I said, yes, Tom Hanks is so good, he seems like some totally random guy. And they all laughed quite loudly. it was fun to be part of their group. The only people I talked to were part of a tour group, which is so very me. And here you can see the top of the parking structure and the whole of the studio lot. It just looks like a big industrial complex, but that water tower tells you it is Paramount, which is what's cool about these studios. And as you see here, one more time, if we look up to our right, if you look in the background, you'll see the Hollywood sign, which is just another cool thing. And now, Kevin Feige, some highlights from him. So again, this was in the Paramount, in the theater, in the main theater there, and he talked about how 10 years ago, this is actually where they showed a very early screening of the original Iron Man, which is pretty cool to hear. So let's hear some things from him.
And you say independent. Nobody thinks of that when they think of these big blockbuster movies, that they were independently made. But that was independently financed, made in every way out, just like an indie movie, right?
It was. We had a completion bond company. We had foreign pre-sales. I spent a lot of time meeting with exhibitors from various countries around the world, pitching them the project. It was the first and last time we ever had to do it like that, but it was actually an amazing experience.
Now, the previous question was about Iron Man being an independent feature. The next question is the one everybody wants to hear, which is actually about the rights to X-Men and Fox joining. So with all those properties, that is what Kevin Feige will talk about now.
Is that the ultimate dream here, to have the universe expand?
Well, what ends up happening with that, I just sit waiting for a call saying yay or nay from people far above me. But yes, of course it would be nice for a company that owns a lot of intellectual property to have access to all that entire library. Yeah. That would be wonderful.
And now the question is actually about how they got the rights, not the rights, but the ability to partner with Sony to do the Spider-Man movie. So this is him talking about how that process kind of went down, or at least his version of events, as you'll hear.
It was just a conversation between then head of Sony, Amy Pascal, and I, and she was asking for ways that we could be more involved in their Spider-Man movies going forward. And she had often been very gracious and asked us to read scripts for the Spidey films that they were making without us. And I was very honest with her and said, I don't think that works. Just a set of notes or something, and then just sort of blurted out, why don't you let us do it? And as she tells the story, she threw a sandwich at me, and the meeting was over. She did not actually throw a sandwich.
Now this section is probably my favorite of the day, because here he talks about collecting, which as a collector, if you watch this channel, you know I'm a collector, and I was happy to hear that Kevin Feige is also a collector, so that was really cool to learn.
The Iron Man suit or something was stolen, and these are worth $400,000, and there's a whole thing going on in the collectible world.
I don't collect Marvel, anything Marvel. I do. There's a thing called Hot Toys, which are these expensive figures that are pretty amazing and look just like the characters and the costumes. I do collect those. Yeah. I collect a lot of stuff.
You do?
Yeah, I collect a lot of Star Wars Kenner stuff, circa 1978 to 1985.
Cool.
Gets very expensive.
It does. You have to have a warehouse to put that stuff.
This is the nerdy portion of the nerdy portion of the Q&A.
Yeah, right? I know.
Now finally, this is the last question where, from an audience member actually, it wasn't the very last question asked, but the last one I have for you guys, and he asked about Luke Cage specifically, but Netflix and the movies, basically TV and movie crossover.
Developed for the movies are remaining separate for the time being, but a lot of stuff has happened in these last 10 years. It's been pretty amazing, so I don't rule anything out.
So that was Produced by 2018. Thank you guys for watching. Be sure to like, subscribe, and comment, and let me know what you think of the Producers Guild Conference, because this is my second or third time being here. It's cool, it's fun, but I am happy to be, it's hot today, so I'm happy to be heading home right now. Thank you guys, bye.